First tonight, another installment of our valiant attempts to get the candidates to put their policy proposals and their best foot forward as Nigeria heads towards the 2023 presidential election. Well, if you've been following the news, you'll know that the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, or NNPP, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, has put forth a whole raft of them, making what his supporters have called a significant intervention with his campaign blueprint. It's a comprehensive manifesto document that he and his deputies hope will not only offer Nigerians a bigger slice of the national pie, but added to his considerable profile and his reach across Nigeria, will be substantial enough to derail the presidential ambitions of his closest competitors, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar, and Peter Obi. In the last few weeks, Mr. Kwankwaso has been noticeably active on the campaign trail, and his deputies say his ratings have gone up amongst the populace. But can he sustain that momentum? Well, the enduring test of that will, of course, be next month when he will be on the ballot. But ahead of that, he's in the hot seat tonight to give a stock defense of his agenda and for voters to determine for themselves whether it is the stuff of inspiration or delusion. And Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso joins me now in the studio. Absolutely delighted to have you here.
Thank you very much, Charles.
The last time I saw you in person, because I see you on television all the time, was at the town hall in Lagos. Yes. And you acquitted yourself very well, as those who saw it can attest. Let's start with the most obvious question. Just remind us why you want to be president of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Let me, at this point, thank the entire people of this country, especially members of our party and other supporters across this country and even beyond. And let me also, with your permission, correct one of the things you said during the introduction. Yes, I contested. I wanted to be president twice in 2015 and 2019. In 2015, I defeated Atiku because I came second, he came third. And you are right, or half right, that in 2019, he defeated us in Port Harcourt.
So it's one. So it's even, is it?
So it's 1-1. I think it's
I like that.
It should be balanced.
Right.
Now, what's your question? Let's go back.
Well, the question was, just remind us why you want to be president of Nigeria.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. You see, you can as well ask me, why did I join politics? Because anybody who joins a particular profession would only be happy to reach the peak, the ultimate position within that profession. And I'm happy to say that 30 years ago, so at least in 1991, being in the civil service for 70 years, I decided to join politics because I was not very happy with what was happening at that time. And I was of the opinion that in this game of politics, you require people who are of high integrity, people who have capacity to deliver, and of course, people who believe in the country. So when I realized I fulfilled all these conditions and many more, then I decided to retire from the civil service and join politics. And I was lucky, if I may put it that way, that I contested the election in 1992 and became the Deputy Speaker of the House of Reps. And I can go on and on to the Constitutional Conference, to the governor in 1999, to Minister of Defense in 2003, to delegate to, NDDC in 2007 or 8, and went back to Kano in 2011 for my second term, and of course became Senator of the Federal Republic in 2015 to 2019. And since then, I have been working together with my brothers and sisters across the country. Now, Going by what I told you, and of course the realities on the ground, I was part in the formation of PDP. And unfortunately, at that time we were only in a hurry to kick out the military, which we succeeded in doing that. But unfortunately, later when we formed governments across the country, including the national government, we realized that we had so many people who share no ideology, no vision with us. And that's when the problem started. In fact, along the line, I had to lose my seat, partially because of that crisis in our party in Kano State. And that was why, when we had the opportunity in 2013-14, we decided also to form a progressive party, the APC at that particular time. And we joined it when things were ripe, and we succeeded also at national level and in the states, and even at National Assembly. Unfortunately, the things began to even get worse. And in PDP today, they believe they are bad, but they also believe APC is very bad. So instead of allowing the election to go between bad and very bad, we thought we should bring something new that Nigerians will be happy with. And that's why we picked the New Nigeria People's Party, the party with a very wonderful programs in our blueprint, in our party manifesto, and so on and so forth.
Right.
So to answer your question directly, I believe that with the experience that I was able to garner over the years and the capacity that we exhibited in all the positions that I was opportune to hold, plus even the educational qualification, and of course the ripe age, the right age, and of course even the state of health and so on, I believe that today, by the grace of God, comparatively, one can comfortably say that Rabiu Kwankwaso is #1 candidate in this race.
Right. Well, thank you for setting that out and for obviously promoting yourself, which is what is expected of you as a candidate. But nearly 6 months now on the campaign trail, can you say that you are winning over Nigerian voters? I'm wondering, beyond what is generally seen as your political stronghold in Kano and other parts of northern Nigeria, how popular you think you are across the whole of Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Let me say that we in the NNPP will continue to be grateful to Almighty God. We are also very, very grateful to people of this country. This party has been existing for the last 20 years or so. But in the last 10 months, we decided to pick the party and put our structure, the TNM, the Kwankwaso, and all other support groups that we have in that particular party. And within this short period of time, we were able to put, to generate members of our party in millions. And in fact, we are the first party really to submit the list of our members, both soft and hard copy, to INEC, and is there on record. And I'm happy to say, in the last 10 months, we are able to put all our political structures, from wards to local governments, to states, to zones, to, of course, to the national level. And not only that, we have probably the largest number of candidates submitted to INEC. We have very high quality candidates, right from the president, right to state assembly candidates. And just recently, we were asked to submit our agents. And I can assure you we submitted 100%. Every polling booth in this country, we have got agents who would protect our interest, who would ensure that the right thing is done at that particular polling booth. So you can see that our party has grown in this last 10 months from the level that it was to the level of any party, even this so-called all the parties, the PDP and APC,
Right.
cannot boast of saying they have either more in number in terms of candidates or even the quality of the candidates.
Yeah, but I'm wondering why, I'm sorry to interrupt you there, I'm wondering why, in spite of all these structures that you've put in place and the reach that you say you have across Nigeria, every single scientific survey that's been conducted, both within Nigeria and abroad, has consistently put you in 4th place.
That's absolutely nonsense. It was a total mess. All those things you saw were sponsored. You see, the last one I saw, they are saying Kwankwaso has 6% in the Northwest. Absolute nonsense. You see, some people that ordinarily should be respected will prove to everybody that they are even shameless to come to the national TV and be making absolutely false and fake analysis. So those ones, I don't see them as anything.
Yeah,
because, look, we know all those things. With sponsorship, some people are promoting themselves to get donations and to get support to prove to people that they are this and that. Look, we are the people on the ground. All these guys are in the social media. Some of them are flying in the air like birds. They don't even know what is happening here on the ground. We have gone around this country. There is no state that I have not visited. There is no, in fact, now I visited over 400 local governments on the road, talking to the people, seeing the infrastructure, in fact, talking to the people directly to know their issues, visiting the traditional rulers and other senior citizens in this country. And in fact, now we are armed more than ever before.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily an accurate gauge, though, of how popular you are. I mean, I'm wondering how you yourself, even if you say that those polls, you discredit them, how have you yourself been able to accurately gauge your popularity across the country?
Let me tell you, it is only us in Kwankwaso that we have accurate number of membership across this country. Every ward, every chapter, we have representatives of Kwankwaso, not this year, not last year, not even a few years ago, for a very long time. Look, we have been working on the ground. We have been ensuring that we started our foundation at the real grassroots, not in the air. So you see, our figures are solid. We know our membership, and that's exactly what we even do in Kano over the years.
And what are those figures?
Of course, we are today, I can tell you comfortably that at grassroots, we are leading in this country, and that is the reality on the ground. But you see, we are always quiet because we enjoy being underrated. Many people would want to raise their armpits and believe that they are important. Now, as far as politics is a game of number, NNPP today, by the grace of God, is number 1.
Right.
In fact, before now, even INEC was saying that there is a possibility of runoff in this 2023 election. At that time, when they were saying, we say, okay, that's possible. But we knew with the few weeks that we have, because we are the only growing party, the NNPP is growing. All other parties, it's just one big man or one big woman.
Well, that's not entirely
starting
accurate,
from one end.
Because the Labour Party is also growing.
I think you shouldn't go there. You see, I told you, and I told many people in this country, that any party, whether NNPP or Labour Party or any other party for that matter, which is basically started on the basis of ethnicity or basis of religion in this country, has lost election even before the election day. And that is the reality. I was in the Constitutional Conference, and we were deliberate in ensuring that each party, for each party to win election, it has to have 25%, is not less than 24 states in this country. And nobody can boast based on those criteria only to say that they can win election. You see, this is not the time to discredit or to say anything about individual or any party. But the fact of the matter, I can tell you, some parties have already, out of these 4 have already lost out.
Right.
And even themselves, they know, but they may not want to admit because they have benefits, mainly because of the donations that they receive locally and internationally.
But are you yourself, Senator Kwankwaso, prepared for defeat? Will you be magnanimous if you're defeated?
Look, if you look at my history, especially in 2003, I was a sitting governor in Kano. And I lost the election in inverted commas. Somebody was being announced as the winner of that election. And I believe I was the only and the first and only person who went, somebody who was being announced as a winner, to his house, not telephone call. I went to the person that was being announced from government house, was my deputy governor, who is governor now, with commissioners, to congratulate him. And I didn't go to court, even when I had all the reasons to go to court. So even in 2019, it's the same story. Everybody knew that we won that election in Kano. But some powers that be decided that Kano was too important to be left in the hands of opponents in democracy. Now, which was very ridiculous, and we didn't do anything. We told our people that, look, there is next time. We tried, we went to courts. They were all there again in courts to make sure that decisions were being influenced. So, yes, every day we are learning, and I want to say that if there is free, fair, and credible election in this country, why not? I will accept it as usual. But what we are saying is the umpires, the INEC, security agents, the presidency, everybody must try and do the right thing, because it's the only way that we can have peace in the country. Not when we go and mess up everything and rig election before the international community, before everybody, and hand it over success to those who have failed. Now that can create a lot of problem, that I know. Because you see, 2023 election is completely different from what we have seen in the past. Before now, you have political contractors, because nobody cared, agree on something, take money, go to villages and towns and endorse some people and so on. Now every Nigerian has one issue or the other to be worried about his future. And people have made up their minds, most people, and many will continue to make up their minds. And by the time you decide to go and take it away from the winners, I'm sure there may be some consequences,
right,
which is not good for anybody.
And when you talk about the possibility of the election being rigged, I mean, who are you talking about as the rigger? Because we know that just a couple of days ago, the presidential candidate of the ruling APC party has come out to say that he believes that certain things that have taken place, such as the redesign of the Naira, are designed to sabotage his campaign and his bid for the presidency. I wonder what your reaction to that is.
I'm not sure if that is correct. I'm not sure if that is not a defense. We were very suspicious of that statement, because all what we know, we have seen president, we have seen all other ministers and everybody going around to campaign for him or for their party. Now, for him to come and make this statement, it looks to me like ridiculous. And therefore, we wait to see what is happening. We believe in the NNPP that all those things he mentioned, especially this redesign of the money.
Right, he also talked about fuel scarcity.
And fuel scarcity.
Yeah.
I don't know of fuel scarcity, whether there is for what do you call it, APC or all of us and so on. But all I know is not good for the country.
Right.
Nigerians deserve to live in peace, with love from the leaders, of course, with prosperity and so on. But inflicting any difficulty on Nigerians, I believe, is not good for even the leaders themselves.
Do you think the redesign of the Naira is inflicting difficulty on Nigerians, or is it aimed at trying to get this country back on the right path as far as monetary policy is concerned, and also to eliminate things like corruption and money laundering and a lot of things like that?
Well, I believe I listened to all the leaders who are trying to defend the issue of this redesign. As far as we are concerned, those of us in NNPP, we believe that it was a mistake. Especially the timing.
The redesign was a mistake?
Redesigning, especially the timing.
Right.
You cannot just come last minute and then create the issue of redesign within a very short period of time in our circumstance today in this country.
Well, people were given 3 months.
3 months is not adequate. You see, you look at currencies all over the world, people will stay for decades and decades with the same currency without changing, without redesigning, and so on and so forth. You see, my advice, if you like, based on realities on the ground, because we are the people who are in touch with the grassroots. People are suffering, people are worried. And I can assure you, by 31st of this month, there is no way Nigerians, especially people in the rural areas, people with no even banks in their local government, can do this change within the stipulated period. In other words, so many people will lose their savings. So many people will run into crisis. And these are innocent people, people who have earned their living, who have worked so hard, who have not, in fact, some of them, in fact, most of them are not politicians. They just want to live in peace. Now, just policy came, they say 3 months. They don't know why it's 3 months. Now, we have an advice for government. Government, in our opinion, should try and reverse this position. It has to be extended. We are aware of the difficulties in the banks. In fact, in Kano now, our markets are closed because of this policy, and so on and so forth. Now, government should extend. And if government decides not even to extend, we believe that the right thing to do is to open a window for people to go and deposit their money and get it recorded, because some are saying they don't even have the money on the ground. Some are saying the very people they wanted to suffocate, that's the senior politicians, who we believe can never be suffocated. Some of these parties are owners, candidates are owners of banks. Some, in fact, the two parties have got governors everywhere in this country. Governors will order banks to bring as much money, the whole bank, the whole money in the state, to the government house and keep. And if you are dealing with a bank owner and people who have trillions and billions in the banks, you cannot do anything. The money that is meant for the people who would go with 5,000, 50,000, 1 million will all be packed by these money bags. And that is a very serious problem. So my suggestion is, one, please, federal government, don't say no going back. This is not a situation of no going back. If you want to say no going back, please, we want to hear you talking about the bandits in the south, northwest, or Boko Haram in south, northeast, or other criminals elsewhere. No going back, you are going to clear them, that is good. But no going back in this case is not the best. This is democracy. Okay. Now, my advice, one, extend time. Two, if you don't want to extend time or you don't have money, allow people to go and deposit and keep their money. When you have money, you pay them. I think that will help. Right. But I can tell you that in NNPP, we believe in the people. And our position is very clear. If for whatever reason, government decides not to extend, and people, our voters, the masses of this country have their own money in their hands, we will make sure that that money doesn't become a waste. Meaning, if we have opportunity, we will open a window. We will ask them to come and take their money. Is they well earned? I mean, they earn that money, and nobody should take it from them.
Right.
So I want to appeal to Nigerians not to take any law into their hands, not to do anything. If government says no going back, okay, no going back, but it's from now to 25th of May this year. We are talking of only 4 months. Now, if we come into government, it will be our decision, certainly, to revisit the situation, to allow Nigerians to come and deposit their money and take their new naira.
Right.
So
okay.
That's our position,
right.
And I believe that that is the best thing to do.
Okay, you've made that point quite stridently, and of course that will depend on if you win the election. But let's turn, we've got about 7 minutes left, let's turn to how you intend to change the lives of millions of Nigerians for the better if you become president of Nigeria. More than 130 million Nigerians are living in dire straits. Many of them don't have enough to eat, let alone better themselves. How do you intend to lift them out of poverty? As briefly as you can.
That has been taken care by our blueprint. We have taken all sectors, all areas that we believe are important to Nigerians, ranging from security. We took a lot of time to look at the security, and I am lucky that I had an opportunity to be with the Nigerian military for 4 years in this country, and I believe I'm the only one with that part of experience among the candidates that we have today in this country. And that's why we use that experience, practical experience, to ensure that we have additional members of the armed forces, additional members of paramilitary, additional, of course, technology. Of course, we try and unite the people of this country, carry them along, so that anybody who has got any information or intelligence can easily pass it to appropriate bodies. We are going to do whatever it takes to protect Nigerians and assets owned by Nigeria.
Right,
now,
and you're talking about employing, bringing in more than raising the number of armed sort of
correct
people in the armed forces to more than 1 million.
About 1 million.
I wonder if you can, in that context, reflect for a moment on Nigeria's debt crisis, because I'm thinking of how you're going to fund all of this, lifting people out of poverty, employing more than 1 million people into the armed forces. If you reflect on that debt crisis and the fact that the amount of money spent servicing this country's debt has exceeded government revenues, knowing that you're going to inherit this debt burden if you win, I wonder if you see it as a dissuasion that makes you think whether it's worth it running for president.
You see, in fact, the difficulties, the crisis, is even the more reason why somebody like me should contest. And all these things are not new to me. In 1999, when I went to Kano as the governor, we inherited a lot of debt. And we settled that debt in 4 years. And we did not borrow a kobo. So also in 2015, 11 to 2015, we inherited a lot of debt, in fact, from World Bank, and we exited and we paid whatever was being given to Kano state government. In fact, in 2003, I was in the cabinet of President Obasanjo, and that was the time, together with the former Minister of Finance, we worked out not only to settle the debt in this country, but to make sure that things economically were good in this country. So we have been facing those challenges. You see, it's unfortunate that we could not protect our assets like oil. Today, we have up to 2.2 million barrels allocated by OPEC. Now we can only do about half of that. The others, gone. Look at Zamfara State, Kebbi State, Sokoto State, Katsina State, Nasarawa, all these places where you have, even Northeast, where you have crisis. They are directly linked with the issue of resources that we have. People coming from abroad, criminals in the country working together, people will only see helicopters coming in and helicopters taking our assets out of the country. So all these things must be stopped. And once you stop that and get at least, let's say, 2.2 million barrels per day instead of half of it, stop what is happening, the madness that we are seeing in the northwest, northeast, and even north central and other parts of the country, at the end of the day, government will have adequate resources, more resources coming into the coffers of government. And not only that, there must be a very efficient management of resources so that every Nigerian can benefit. Every Nigerian can be in peace. Every Nigerian should go to school and so on and so forth.
Right. We've got about 90 seconds, sadly, before we have to end the chat. You've just got weeks to go before the presidential election. What is your strategy going into this final lap of the campaign before voting day?
You see, we will continue what we have been doing. We have gone around this country. Some states I went 4, 5, 6, 7 times in the last, let's say, 3, 4 months. And we'll continue to talk to the people. And we'll continue to, I think, as we can even call our party new, because before we joined it less than 1 year ago, most people didn't know it, including my humble self. So now is to go and tell the masses, the people, the voters, that look, NNPP is a party. And our logo, of course, is fruits inside a good basket at the center of Nigeria map. That's our logo, because people have to be reminded and reminded. In northern Nigeria, many people will go and say, why is the Kwankwaso's party? In many places, they will, of course, they remember. So it is our responsibility now, and our supporters, and our candidates, and well-wishers and lovers of this country, to send the message of our logo, to send the message of our experiences, what we have done, our capacity, and the love that we have for the people of this country in terms of their unity, in terms of their progress, and in terms of their development. So these are the messages that we'll continue to send. And I am so happy that in the last few months, some are saying NNPP is number 4. Some are now saying it's number 3. But in NNPP cycle, I can tell you today, based on our real figures, not the fake figures that some people who have been paid to come and disgrace themselves at national TV, the real fact of the matter is masses are looking for a way out. And the only alternative today is NNPP, not any other party.
Okay. On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, who is the presidential candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party, the NNPP. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you.